What's up, everybody? I am DJ Chris Wright, and I use my whole name, Chris Wright, because I do so many things. I have quite a few income streams, and people know me as Chris Wright. No one calls me Chris, and no one calls me Christopher. Just about everybody I know calls me Chris Wright by my full name. So I thought DJ Chris Wright would be, oh, that must be DJ Chris Wright. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about myself since it's my first video I've ever done for my DJing on YouTube. Let's see. So I started DJing in the 80s when I was in the military. I was overseas doing different things in some of the clubs that are abroad. And there was a private club in Bahrain. And I got a chance to, I was asked to play in this British private club. And I didn't know what I was doing, but they let me play records. You know that phrase, play records. So I did that. And I really enjoyed it. So then when I got out of the military, I'm sorry, when I left overseas, Bahrain, I basically came back to the States and I continued doing it. Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, all over. I was doing spinning records. And freestyle was my favorite genre. And I found a freestyle club. It was a lot of Filipinos there. Um, and I just remember DJing for all these Filipinos and they love freestyle music, Stevie B and Nocera and that age there. I love that music. And I know quite a few people who like freestyle now. Anyway, so I did some gigs on bass. I worked the bass club. If you're in Norfolk, all the major military bases are there, and Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. And I got pretty much known around the military community as being the go-to DJ for military events and parties, nightclubs and bars. We're talking late 80s or mid 80s, and freestyle and hip hop was fresh and new on the horizon. So yeah, I got a chance to do that. And then when I got out of the military, I went back to Philadelphia, worked some local, smaller, not the big clubs, but some smaller bars and small nightclubs. And I started to really, really like, 90s dance music, like Planet Soul and stuff like that. And so I just never stopped. So all of that was pretty much bar and nightclub DJing. And then when I moved to upstate New York, I met a gentleman who said, "Hey, you have any equipment?" I thought I had equipment until I saw his equipment. You ever think you have good stuff until you see someone else and you be like, "Oh my God, this guy, he has the mother load of equipment." Anyway, so this guy, his name was Dave. May rest in peace. He died of cancer, but he showed me everything I needed to know about being a professional event or wedding DJ, and that was in right around early 2000. So I've been doing the whole wedding event thing probably for going on 20 years, and I'm very grateful to him for him showing me this. So I just want to let you guys know a little bit about my background. I won't start every show like this, but I did want to talk a little bit about my DJ history, my DJ background. And I tell you, as long as I can stand on my 2 feet and spin records or spin MP3s, I should say, I'll be doing. I can't see leaving. I've retired 2 or 3 times, so but it's something I really, really love doing. All right, so the first topic I want to talk about on my very first YouTube show is I was approached by, I went to look at a venue yesterday. I went to preview it, and he asked me, "Are you bringing your own equipment?" And I looked at him like, "Don't most DJs bring their own equipment?" And he says, "No, we have a full system in house." He showed me all around. I was like, "Well, that's interesting. I've heard of venues with speaker systems. I've heard of venues with lighting systems. I've heard of venues with uplights, but I never did an event, a event venue with all of the DJ equipment. Basically, you show up with your laptop plug in and you can go." I never considered it, and I immediately was like, "No, no, 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 no." And I think most DJs are pretty nervous about using someone else's equipment. Now, remember, in this venue, everything's already hardwired. It's all behind the walls and behind the board, including they had a nice Denon, and I don't know which model Denon it was, but it was a white Denon. It was beautiful. Basically, he said, "Nope, you plug your laptop in. If you got a hard drive, plug that in, whatever. Bring your headphones, and you're pretty much set. I connected it. What he had, he showed me through an iPhone. I plugged the iPhone in. I was like, wow, this is amazing. The sound was incredible. The bass was incredible. Now, keep in mind, this was a church, and it was an old church. It was a converted Catholic church that was converted into a wedding. So I think when you have venues like that, sometimes they worry about the acoustics. So they say, you know what? Why don't we create our own um, music sound system? Because DJs are going to come in and it's just going to sound messy. High cathedral ceilings. I get it. Totally understand. And probably using their equipment would be the most optimal choice. But being a DJ, you're scared. You know your equipment. And if something goes wrong, you don't know what cable to grab. There's just a whole lot of fear factors regarding using another place's equipment. So that's going to be my topic today is, would you use a venue system? Tell me if you've ever done that in the comments, um, if that's something you would even consider. And then as we got to the conversation, he was asking me, how well was I booked out, and would I consider, you know, packaging, doing a contract with him throughout the year. I told him, hey, I'm already with Upbeat Occasions and I really don't know if I'll have time. He said, all right, well, maybe I'll call you every now and then and ask you if you're available for a certain date. But when you do book with us, through us, you're going to use our house system. So yeah, today I just want to talk about, have you ever considered using a house system? So like this picture that I have here, this is like a nightclub where DJs basically show up. Sometimes they show up with just their laptop and they plug in and they DJ for the night. Some DJs bring their own boards and they'll just disconnect the board at the club, plug their own board, laptop, and go. But all the speakers in the house are already hooked up. And this is virtually, the same thing. So, what are some of the pros? And I took some notes. So, I'm looking to my left here. I took some notes on my computer. It says, using venue equipment can save you the hassle of transporting your gear to and from gigs. Now, as I get older, I have to admit, I have to load my truck, unload my truck, and then load my truck again at the end of the night and unload my truck back into my storage unit at home. That's a lot of loading and unloading. Imagine if you can just show up to the club and or the venue, wedding venue, and plug in your laptop, and all you need to carry is your laptop bag. That's it. All right, so that's a good pro. Access to high end gear. That's another thing. Venues like that, they only buy the best. They'll get these, Vegas, New York City, Atlantic City engineers and say, hey, listen, we want a great sound system in here. So they'll get sound engineers to come in and test it and make sure that the acoustics are right, that it goes right with the ceilings and the walls. Because, I mean, if this is an old Catholic cathedral, it might be over 100 years old. You never know. And these places weren't built for sound. So they have to get engineers to come in and actually, do that. So that's an interesting access to high end gear. Time saving, we already talked about that. We show up to weddings 2 hours, 2.5 hours prior to the event. Now, this, all you need to do is show up maybe 30, 35 minutes prior. Maybe if you got to do a ceremony or something like that. I don't know. Maybe but I know you wouldn't have to do 2.5 hours. You know, what are your thoughts? Um, Cost effective. Well, first of all, if you're a DJ, you're not, I put cost effective just in case you're the type of DJ who wanted to get rid of all your equipment and you worked at this wedding venue all the time. But it's not really cost effective because you're going to need your gear in other places. But it could be cost effective if you know I'm going to work at this event. I don't need to buy certain equipment for this particular venue or club or bar because they already have their systems there. And then it's space saving. Do you need an SUV or a truck or a pickup or whatever you carry all your stuff in? You don't need to use all that. And maybe also you don't have a booth or a table. You don't need that anymore because the venue already has everything all nicely laid out in its venue. So, but what are some of the cons I see? So the familiarity piece, that's what scares a lot of DJs. You are not familiar with their system. What if you are used to using Pioneer DJ and you walk in and it's a Denon system? Now you got to learn this unit, learn all about it. What if you don't know anything about maybe the amplification, or if they have like a rack, or they may have a external mixer? Where do I, plug in, just, or if a speaker goes out, how does that work? How do I control the lights in this house? Or you just not you're not familiar with it. So you have to ask yourself, is this something that you might um, be scared of? Dependence. Now you're really, really depending on the venue's equipment to be in good condition, and it has to be suitable for your needs. So you don't know what the bride and groom or whoever hires you, what they need, and you got to figure out how to do it with the equipment that's in the house. Usually, we'll bring, based on our planner, we will bring different equipment based on what we need. Sometimes a lavalier, maybe an extra microphones and all that kind of stuff. So you have to make sure that you still can do that. And what if you need three or four mics and the venue doesn't have that? You got to make sure that bring all that stuff with you, even though the venue has told you that they're self-sufficient. Um, you're going to have limited options. You might be restricted to just the equipment that's available at the venue. So, like I said earlier, you just want to make sure that you have all the equipment you need. And because you're really scared to work on this system, that's going to be something you're going to have to think about. Um, the comfort. It's a comfort in your heart and a comfort in your mind that when you bring your own equipment, you know your equipment, and when you go to hit play and you get nothing, you already know a couple of places to go check. And oh, I'm an idiot. I didn't have the cable plugged into the back of my mixing board. Oh, I'm an idiot. I didn't turn the speaker on. Whatever the case may be, you have some familiarity with your own equipment. If you're in a venue and they got their own equipment, I got a story one time. I plugged into a I plugged into a venue's equipment one time, and it kept going out, and I was like, "Wow." And the banquet manager, well, what happened? What happened? What happened? And I said, for some reason, it keeps cutting out. And he ran around sweating. Oh my, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this is an in-house problem. It's not the DJ's problem. We're going to get it fixed in a minute. He already knew what it was. He went and hit a couple buttons somewhere, and he's like, you should be good to go now. You shouldn't have that problem again. So he basically had to reset something. But imagine not knowing what to do. So that can be scary. And then what about the concern about their equipment damaging your equipment? Like whatever you plug in, or if something fries your laptop, take they're not gonna take the blame. They're like, that's not our fault. And you're gonna be like, I know it's your fault because this system or whatever it may be, or had a power surge and it basically ruined my stuff. So those are some of the things I wanted to ask you guys about, you DJs out there. Would you take the risk of using a different venue's system? And tell me in the comments what your thoughts are. And this was my first show. So the shows that I do, they're only going to be about 10 to 15 minutes. And I just wanted to let you know that, hey, welcome me to the world of YouTube DJs, and I am already starting gig logs, and I'm going to be doing these short shows. So put some comments on there. I hope you like and subscribe, and I look forward to talking to you guys. You guys take care. Thank you.